It all started with a leak, a single line hidden deep in a classified cable. But that one sentence was enough to rattle an entire country. Traoré had just 48 hours to deliver 60% of Burkina Faso's oil and gold, or face serious consequences. And the name at the bottom, Donald J. Trump, then President of the United States. He wasn't just playing politics, he was launching a hard-hitting global business offensive through backdoor diplomacy. The demand shocked even Washington's inner circle. No talks, no deals, just a flat-out ultimatum hand over almost complete control of the country's newly found oil and gold reserves. This wasn't negotiation. It was a threat aimed straight at the heart of Ouagadougou. Sources say the cable didn't just show up. It was hand-delivered by a trusted go-between, a former US military attaché flanked by private American security contractors. It landed on Captain Ibrahim Traoré's desk at dawn. The message was crystal clear. Let US corporations start extracting oil and exporting gold immediately. Hand over long-term control of Burkina Faso's energy policy to an American-led economic board. Do it in 48 hours, or face sanctions, resource blockades, and internal sabotage. This wasn't diplomacy, it was a shakedown. Trump's tone, blunt, cold, all business. We saved you from terrorism, now it's time to pay up. But there was one thing Trump didn't count on. The man on the other end of that demand wasn't the type to fold. Captain Traoré didn't flinch. He summoned his intelligence chief, brought in his top military commander, and said straight, "Tell the Americans Burkina Faso is not for sale." By midday, the story exploded. African media lit up from Lagos to Kinshasa. Headlines dominated, Trump demands Africa's resources. Traoré given détaché deadline. The world started watching, and Burkina Faso held its breath. But there was one thing Trump didn't count on. The man on the other end of that demand wasn't the type to fold. Captain Traoré didn't flinch. He summoned his intelligence chief, brought in his top military commander, and said straight, "Tell the Americans, Burkina Faso is not for sale." By midday, the story exploded. African media lit up from Lagos to Kinshasa. Headlines dominated. Trump demands Africa's resources. Traoré given détaché deadline. But Traoré wasn't writing his reply with pen and paper. He was writing it with strategy and steel. For months, something huge had been kept under wraps, buried beneath the dry plains of northern Burkina Faso. This wasn't rumor or guesswork. It was real. Massive, untouched oil reserves, confirmed by a secret geological task force formed after Traoré seized power. Russian engineers helped run the scans. Iranian drones flew under the radar. North Korean tech teams locked down the data. Everything classified, everything secure, until the first drill broke ground. Then the satellites caught it. American, French, always watching. Within 48 hours, US intel flagged strange energy activity in the Sahel. They tracked equipment flowing in from Iran and Venezuela. Encrypted messages hinted at a new sovereign petroleum corridor. And then the gold signals lit up too. Burkina Faso was already taking back its gold mines, quietly kicking out foreign contractors. French-controlled companies were being replaced with national military units. The money no longer flowed to Paris, it was being redirected into a local development fund. Washington understood what this meant. A country with oil and gold, not run by Wall Street, not answering to Paris, not begging the IMF, but backed by its people, its army, its vision. That wasn't just defiance, that was a blueprint, and honestly, it scared the hell out of them. They didn't just want the oil, they wanted to kill the idea. Before Mali, Niger, Chad or Congo got any bright ideas, that's when the phone calls started. From Exxon, from Chevron, from DC power players, all asking the same question. How do we shut this down before it becomes another Libya? Only this time African-owned. Their answer, send Trump, send the threat. But the man they picked, he doesn't kneel. The message that arrived in Ouagadougou wasn't dressed in diplomacy. It came wrapped in arrogance, the language of empire disguised as business. Trump's team delivered it like a business deal. But, make no mistake, This wasn't negotiation, it was extortion. The demands were outlined in a 7-page document marked Confidential Strategic Resource Acquisition Framework, but the content was anything but subtle. 60% of Burkina Faso's oil production was to be granted to US oil giants for stabilization and infrastructure purposes. Control of all major gold export routes was to be handed over to US-approved intermediaries. An American advisory committee would oversee all new mining contracts and revenue distribution, and in exchange, military security, cooperation, technology partnerships, and protection from regime change. Yes, you read that right. Protection from regime change. A veiled threat buried beneath polite wording. The message? Obey us or fall. And at the top of the document, in thick red ink, one handwritten note. Traoré has current hours. This wasn't just economic colonialism, this was imperialism 2.0. Bold, naked, direct. And at the top of the document, in thick red ink, one handwritten note. Traoré has current hours. This wasn't just economic colonialism, this was imperialism 2.0, bold, naked, direct. In Washington, political elites tried to play it cool. They claimed Trump was going rogue, acting alone, not as part of official US policy, but behind closed doors no one stopped him, because deep down Trump was just saying out loud what many had been thinking for years. We don't care who runs Africa as long as we control what's under the ground. But Captain Ibrahim Traoré got the message loud and clear, and he'd already made up his mind. No foreign power will dictate the future of our land. If this was going to be a power play, Traoré wasn't going in as a pawn. He was stepping in as a leader. A sovereign man representing a sovereign nation. And Trump, he just threatened the wrong soldier.